Fights. In anime, there are fights you remember happened, then there are fights you never forget. A good fight isn't just a series of hand-drawn keyframes. It isn't just a sequence of banger OSTs and poorly selected grunting noises. A good fight represents the climax a narrative has been building towards. It grips you, baits your breath as you watch flesh pound flesh, men gush bodily fluids, and heartfelt emotions and carnal desires burst out in an It appears my words have been dangerously lacking in pause. I accidentally began describing the fights the homies and I have in bed when I try kiss them goodnight, but I promise I've got everything straightened out now. For the past few years now, there's been a shift in the general perception of battle shonen. 15 years ago, they were the only anime people cared about, the titans sweeping across the West, radically birthing filthy weebs and unwashed otakus, introducing them to the gospels of flashing colors and man moans. Today, they aren't respected at all. Sure, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Chainsaw Man are still doing crazier numbers than any non-shonen, but the ways people talk about them have changed. Haters will tell you Demon Slayer is carried by its animation, but when did having stellar production quality become a bad thing? No one takes X-Arm seriously, and recommending Ranking of Kings or Made in Abyss to anyone male is next to impossible. So why drag down the series making use of their resources to pump out the best product possible? Because there's a difference between a truly good fight and a bunch of pretty colors, and that's what I'm going to break down today. But for me to do so, I'll have to start by explaining why fights are important at all. Conflict. A vital component to every story that helps engage the audience in the journey of the characters is conflict. Whether it takes the form of a battle between artists or intellects, battle against nature, battle against society, or battle between forces, obstacles that try to prevent the characters of a story from achieving their goals are essential in making it a worthwhile experience. These obstacles can take many forms. Rival sports teams, the zombie apocalypse, law enforcement, prospective mother-in-law who doesn't think you're good enough, or in today's case, superhumans. These difficult-to-overcome challenges are what provide tension in a story. They make us wonder whether or not the characters can really achieve their goals, and if so, just how exactly they'll manage it. That's the part that makes a story interesting. Seeing the deadbeat failed YouTuber blow up and prove to his lady's family that he can take care of her. Seeing the teamwork and skills a bunch of teenagers sacrificed their youth to hone help them win out against impossible odds and accomplish what no one but they believed they could. Seeing the police let your favorite drug dealer slip out of their fingers so his empire can live on. Okay, maybe that last one isn't as wholesome, but that just proves that conflict is what we consume any story for. How will he figure out who killed the Lord of the Manor? How will they keep their manga from getting cancelled by Shonen Jump? How will they win this fight? Fights are important because they're the method of conflict resolution in battle anime, and now that we know their purpose, we can figure out what makes them good. First, technical proficiency. Half of this is the sights and sounds. Are the visuals clear? Does the audio add depth? Is there visual storytelling to teach you about the characters through their body language? Is the fight impressive to look at and engaging with its cinematography and direction? If you can turn your eyes away and do something in the background while the scene unfolds, the production didn't make you go, wow. The other half of this is the selection of techniques and abilities by the fighters. No one enjoys a murder mystery where the case is solved with information the detective got off screen, and the same goes for fights. Think Hajime no Ippo. Between every fight, Ippo does his homework on his next opponent. He forges his body while his coach instructs him on what techniques he needs to master if he wants a fair shot at victory. Here's how you approach a flicker jab. Here's how you adjust your guard. Here's how you shatter the ribs of whichever sorry sack of flesh has to fight you. There's a game plan and his tools are out in the open for us to see. The thing is, game plans are easy to follow till you get punched in the face. We know what Ippo's capable of, but his opponents aren't going to stand there and take it, and they have plans of their own. Will he be able to avoid punches from a guy with longer range, long enough to get within striking distance? Will the new punches he trained even be able to connect? Will he be able to end the fight before taking any damage that might end his career? A technically excellent fight is like a dialogue, like a debate. Two fighters throw out their points and counter-arguments as the audience gets swayed from side to side, trying to decide who has the advantage, who's in control, who's winning. You want to cast a ninjutsu, I interrupt your hand signs. You can counter my attacks, so I obscure your vision to mask my approach. Grappling techniques won't work, so I turn to afterimage for a better chance at striking. A well-choreographed fight will be exciting and allow the characters to exchange their best techniques in ways that engage the viewers without confusing them. You can quickly identify what the fighters are trying to do and make your own estimations about whether it will be successful. Everything that happens makes sense, and you feel included in the moment as you compare your strategies against theirs. That careful balancing act that allows characters to try piece together the fruits of their training in a moment of truth is all the first aspect of what makes a great fight. Second, tension.
Try as you might. Until you surpass my ultimate, I will not fall into the jaws of defeat.
No matter how artistically a series of painting-like frames are arranged, it means nothing without tension. Anime aside, Demon Slayer might have the best fight choreography I've ever seen in a manga. I thought it was downright incredible long before an anime was ever announced. I could only ever give it a 7 out of 10 though. Without tension, no amount of technical mastery could make a fight mean something. The fight should have narrative or emotional importance. The audience should want one side to win with all their heart, and the story should make it clear that if they can't secure victory, there will be consequences. A skillful writer will make you care, make you dread the idea of losing, make you believe that a worst-case scenario might just take place. Most writers aren't skillful writers. Imagine the MC has a 1v1 duel with the fate of the universe on the line. If he loses, he dies, evil wins, and it's the end of days for everyone he cares about. The stakes are high, but is this good tension? No. Establishing stakes so ridiculously high that defeat means the end of everything is as good as having no stakes at all. Tension only exists if a viewer believes that their hero can lose. You don't root for the main sports team to win because their world will end if they don't. You root for them because their worlds will end. Their grand journey is over. Their dreams meant nothing. Their efforts were wasted. All the consequences are emotional. The seniors will graduate, win or lose, and everyone will eventually have to work a 9 to 5 and pay taxes. A high school sports medal doesn't change that. But that's not what any of us think about when the Karasuno volleyball team takes the floor. We just want Hinata to fly. Even if his frame is small, he wants to have the biggest impact on the court, and we root for that, hoping his wings will take him all the way to glory. That small tangent brings me to one of the greatest fights in anime history.
Come on, you really think you'll be able to get through Gaara's defenses just by dropping a couple of pounds of weight?
Rock Lee versus Gaara. No risk of death. No main characters. No life-changing stakes. It's just an exam. If you lose, you can try again next year. Literally no one will be significantly affected by what happens here. No one but the fighters who decided that this would hold personal importance to them. Rock Lee can't use ninjutsu, the thing that every ninja uses to be able to do their job. He has a disadvantage that no one believes he can overcome. He wants to prove to everyone and prove to himself that they are wrong. His opponent Gaara is the exact opposite. He's a force that cannot be overcome, overflowing with power he has never had to work for. Because of his strength, he has always been an object of fear and hatred, but because of his strength, it has never mattered. He can put down those less than him whenever he wishes. In front of him is an ant among ants. In his loveless life, the only thing that has kept him going is crushing bugs like Rock Lee, but this insect fights back and challenges him like he has never been challenged before, torments him in a way he has never experienced. In a classic case of talent versus hard work, these bright young shinobi duel, and with only their ideologies on the line, a fight for the ages takes place. Kishimoto communicates to the audience through their fighting styles, Rock Lee tearing his body apart and Gaara making sure he's untouchable, just the kinds of people they are, and as initiative shifts between the characters, a story is told through how the two respond to their worldview being challenged. Ultimately, the people's champion falls, and the audience is gutted as Gaara is cemented as a terrifying force, and the idea of the main characters needing to face this creature in the future emerges and builds further tension for the Chunin exams. Technical brilliance, narrative relevance, and emotional impact all come together for an experience a viewer doesn't know how to react to, but can't help but feel touched by. That is a good fight. Speaking of narrative relevance, that is the third aspect of a good fight. I just tried to convince you that stakes don't have to be world-changing for a fight to be tense, but if the result of the fight has no effect whatsoever on how the rest of the story progresses, it becomes hard to remain invested in otherwise masterful combat. A good fight will develop characters or permanently change the course of the story regardless of the victor. A stunning realization that you aren't as strong as you thought, the destruction of a relationship everyone thought was unbreakable, the loss of someone you weren't ready to live without. When the fate of the story hangs in the balance and change is inevitable, there's a magnetic attraction you feel draw you to the screen. Doing this well isn't easy because of the build-up required to reach such a climactic point, but there's a little cheat code writers were beating into the ground long before you were an anime fan. The tournament arc. Jobbing. The use of one character to demonstrate the strength of another. The same way you can count on Genos being disassembled by every villain Saitama is set to face, writers often turn to using established characters to provide new antagonists with fodder to showcase their ferocity. The tournament arc is the pinnacle of this practice, with the grand prize being something significant and desired by every combatant. Usually money or staying alive. Tension is spread over every fight as no one can afford to lose. As the rounds progress and the remaining fighters become ever more skilled, technical showcases are put on display that let viewers understand the abilities of the important characters and start considering the possible scenarios that would follow either party's victory. Even more significantly, every fight is made important to the story because of the dangling carrot waiting at the end of the long road, even if the protagonist isn't involved in the fight. After seeing Rock Lee and Gaara go to war, you start trying to figure out just how anyone will find a way through Gaara's defense. When Master Roshi and Tien Shinhan are matched up, you think about how Goku wasn't even able to beat Roshi and now he'll have to go up against the villain he watched defeat the man he had trained years to beat. A web of grudges forms and makes viewers more invested in seeing the resolution. But all of this is superficial and gimmicky and is only very rarely done right. As the current point is narrative relevance, thinking about how some tournaments are just plain old boring anyway reinforces what I had to say about high stakes meaning nothing without tension, and brings me to a summary of what the last two aspects of a good fight mean when put together. Do I care who wins? What makes a fight good boils down to whether it is skillfully arranged and takes place after you've been made to care about what happens to the characters. With that being said, I could end the video here with everything important having been said, but there's a fight I can't end this video without talking about. The fight that reminded me that I can like fights. The fight that's the entire reason I've wanted to make this video for the last half year in the first place. This 7-year-old animation I took down from my channel. Truly a masterwork in constructing a narrative. Just kidding.
Wind slash! Wind slash! Wind slash!
Sunraku and Company vs. Weathermon was meant to get this spot, but I don't think I can really talk about it without heavy spoilers, so I'll need you to comment Frontier and tell me if it's worth making a dedicated video about. What I can say for now is that Shangri-La Frontier follows excellent gamers playing an incredible game, and that comes with great tactics, abilities, and multi-layered boss battles that really draw you into the story of an interesting world you experience for the first time alongside the characters. If you're new here, this video wasn't designed to make you hit subscribe so much as keep you watching to the end because the rent is due, but I promise I've got a lineup of highly entertaining videos for you to check out after this so you can see for yourself that I'm really that guy. Thanks to the patrons Bolivar Sanchez, Kurumikata, Lucas HF, Apollo 900, Draith, Shinbo Shu, Magecrafter, and Confused Flesh Suit for helping make this video possible and giving me the pleasure of the longest shout out ever. Like the video if you liked the video. This has been Kenchan, sounding pretentious.